Welcome to a podcast based on a white paper by Martin Lush, Global Vice President, NSF Pharma, Biotech and Medical Devices. Why intelligent people in respected organizations do irrational things. As a leading consultancy and training provider to the pharma, biotech and devices industries, we are privileged to work with people who are both motivated and smart. In fact, our industries employ more PhDs and graduates than many other sectors. Yet, when you read through some recent 483s, you are left wondering why respected organizations, staffed with intelligent people, do some very illogical things. Take, for example, these recent non-compliances. 393 customer complaints that had not been investigated. Widespread SOP non-compliance. Companies spending millions of dollars on writing SOPs that are too complicated to use. Audible alarms switched off. Risk assessment used to justify poor practices. Ineffective and under-resourced training programs. Absence of planned maintenance program, breakdown only. Over-reliance on poorly trained contractors. So why do organizations with a collectively high IQ do such things? Why is common sense not always translated into common practice? Over the last 27 years, NSF Health Sciences has gained an enviable reputation helping companies improve compliance, efficiency and decision-making. Here are some reasons, contributing factors, why we think intelligent people do strange things. Do any sound familiar to you? Contributing factor 1. Institutional arrogance. A good compliance history combined with impressive business growth can, in our experience, lead to a false sense of security, even institutional arrogance. This apparent lack of failure can be dangerous, since failure acts as an emergency stop that forces companies and individuals to reassess what they do, learn from the experience, and move on. The absence or suppression of any failure results in organizations believing their own propaganda. Critical thinking and analysis stops, only to be replaced with arrogance and complacency, which then leads to poor decision-making. This is where an open and honest culture, supported by robust governance processes and structures, is vital. Contributing factor 2. Institutional bad habits. Acting without thinking. People and organizations are creatures of habit, acting without conscious thought. One company habitually ignored its change control system because of its overwhelming complexity. Most engineers habitually use the emergency change control system without thinking. Bad habits can creep in due to a number of reasons. Here are some. A lack of educated personnel who understand the why that underpins the how, particularly in leadership and supervisory roles ultimately responsible for standard setting. They don't know how to set a good example. A leadership disconnected from the shop floor, with managers who have forgotten what MBWA stands for, management by walking about. A leadership failing to walk the talk and live the values of the company. Performance measures that drive the wrong behaviours and habits. Encouraging people to reduce deviations by N% creates a mindset that deviations are bad. Insensitive or inadequate internal surveillance systems. Good audit, self-inspection, deviation and CAPA systems are vital in detecting and correcting bad habits. Governance processes and behaviours that regard quality metrics and reporting as a beauty contest between departments and site. Peer pressure and groupthink. Bad habits are recognised but not addressed due to peer pressure or groupthink that leads to justification of bad practices. Inward thinking and failure to benchmark against external standards and improvement in best practice. Contributing factor 3. Ignorance due to poor education. Many bad decisions and inappropriate behaviours can be due to people at all levels in the organisation not knowing any better. This can happen when companies invest in training rather than education. Remember, we educate our children and train our dogs. If we apply a pure training approach to people, we end up with a workforce that knows what buttons to press without knowing why or understanding the consequences for getting it wrong. When people are educated to know these things, they take personal ownership of their activities and behaviours. More than this, only then can their full potential be realised, and the company benefit from the intellectual capital that is present in the workforce. This is a prerequisite for any continuous improvement activities. Contributing factor 4: culture of fear and blame. Continuous improvement needs an educated workforce, but it is only possible when people have the freedom to challenge the status quo, bringing problems to the surface for sharing with all, no matter where they are in the organisation. When blame and fear exist, problems remain, issues are hidden, and bad practices go unchallenged. Without openness and transparency, continuous improvement and management of risk is impossible, corporate governance is doomed to failure, and the working environment becomes toxic. Contributing factor 5: systems that encourage bad practice and poor decision-making. System complexity and inappropriate design can encourage people to do crazy things. Some examples include excessive signatures in a batch record, leading to signatures being completed after the task rather than during. Overly complicated batch documents, encouraging poor aseptic practice in the clean room. Poor equipment design, leading to excessive interventions. Poor staffing levels in the clean room, resulting in rushing around and poor aseptic practice. SOPs that are so complex they can't be used, leading to inconsistent practice. Contributing factor 6: lack of personal integrity and honesty. On very rare occasions, bad practice and inappropriate behaviours come down to the individual. People do things they know are wrong because they are either dishonest or lack personal integrity. Poor decision-making on the part of individuals can also be attributable to the following. They simply don't care and have very little pride in what they do. In our experience, this is often the fault of the company rather than the individual. When companies care little about their employees, the culture can impact the behaviour of individuals by creating a predominating mentality of, if they don't care about me, why should I care about what I do? Previous experience in another company. Arrogance can also be a contributing factor, with thinking like, I know best, I am beyond the law, the rules don't apply to me, I won't get caught. Contributing factor 7: hierarchy. Hierarchy, where group members are distinguished by seniority and power, is evident in every society, let alone company. Hierarchy can be both constructive and destructive in equal measure. Best-in-class companies have an enabling hierarchy and focus on engaging the entire organisation to drive personal ownership of quality and personal responsibility for continuous improvement. Underpinned by effective education, this can be achieved using a number of mechanisms symbolic of a healthy and productive hierarchy that uses the talent of the entire workforce. For example, quality circles, operator-led problem-solving and continuous improvement initiatives, performance management objectives for quality and continuous improvement, operator-led self-inspections, suggestion schemes. Unhealthy hierarchies achieve the complete opposite and can lead to problems going unnoticed. They create a culture where people know their place and do not question authority or offer suggestions for continuous improvement. These companies are already on the path to failure. Contributing factor 8: poor performance management coupled with a poor attitude to problems. Best-in-class companies have performance management systems that drive the right quality behaviours and practices, emphasising that quality is the responsibility of all. In contrast, poor performance management systems can inadvertently drive the wrong behaviours. Underreporting of deviations and incidents. Problems and deviations being seen as bad. Having to complete all investigations in the magical 30 days. Failure to drive continuous improvement. Best-in-class companies drive continuous improvement by focusing on the performance measures and behaviours required as a result of a thorough analysis of problems and mistakes. These companies understand the potentially destructive nature of poorly defined measures and ineffective and misdirected management review processes. Best-in-class performance only happens when problems, mistakes, and deviations are seen as learning opportunities and are investigated at the time they occur, not 29 days later, rather than as painful embarrassments. Contributing factor 9. Overthinking. Educated and intelligent people can use misplaced logic to rationalize bad practice. This is commonly seen in companies that use risk assessment to justify what common sense tells them is wrong. Inappropriate behavior and bad decision-making due to overthinking can be encouraged by many of the other contributing factors mentioned earlier. Contributing factor 10. Panic, stress, and fatigue. People can do crazy things when under stress. As humans, we are conditioned to fight, flight, run away, or freeze, do nothing, when threatened. This can result in people making decisions they would not normally make. Many of the contributing factors mentioned earlier can be observed in corporate cultures that engender stress, panic, and fatigue. These effects hinder good governance and controls. Regulatory inspections are very stressful for most people, and inappropriate responses to inspectors can be given due to stress. Better planning and preparation in advance of any regulatory inspection can address these issues. In general, people make the best decision available to them at the time. When intelligent people do crazy things, it is usually due to a number of contributing factors, which companies can address or avoid. If you would like to find out more about human error, causes and prevention, you could call our UK or US office for advice or consultancy. Alternatively, you could attend one of our courses. See www.nsf.org/info/pharma-training for details. You could also ask for us to undertake an in-house course for you, at your site, focused on your case studies. For further information on this and other white papers, please visit www.nsfpharmabiotech.org.